Hello. So, welcome to Coffee Talk. I have my coffee here. I got my cancer mug, cancer season. My birthday is over, but I can still enjoy it being our time. Okay, so hopefully people are around. And if you have been here before, maybe you're noticing that the quality is better. I'm on my webcam, but the quality is not garbage, y'all. And that's because I got a new webcam. Simple that is. I probably could have done this a long time ago, but I didn't even think about the fact that they make external webcams. So that is very exciting. Moving forward, anytime that I do filming from the computer, it's not going to look like fuzzy trash. So hooray. And if you're here for the first time, jazz hands. I can see it trying to focus. So this will be a new adventure. This is the first time I'm using it. Anyway, I hope that you can hear me okay. Please tell me if you cannot. And I'll try to work on that. Hi. Hey, what's up, Rebecca? Okay, so we haven't had a coffee talk in a couple weeks, and I was thinking what I wanted to do as our topic for today. And somebody had suggested that we talk about dating and relationships and all of that as a fat person. So I thought that's a great topic. I have a lot of things to say about that. And I feel like other people do too. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I didn't make any notes about like exactly what I wanted to talk about because I feel like we'll all just have stuff to talk about. And so let's just get started. So while people are joining and until anyone else feels motivated to comment about their dating experience, I just wanted to, I guess, talk about my dating experience. It's not great. It was not good. Look at this lipstick mark. It's pretty bold. It's because I have on lip gloss. I'm so used to wearing matte lipstick that like doesn't come off on anything. Okay, so it's very shiny too. Oh my god. All right, focus. My dating experiences. I don't know, guys. I don't even know where to start. So when I was in junior high, is like kind of, I mean, when I was younger than that, people would like have their little boyfriends and girlfriends or whatever, but it's not real, it's not real dating. When I was in junior high, that was the first time that I really saw people like actually dating and actually having boyfriends and girlfriends and like going on little dates and like making out and like doing more than that sometimes. And I would get crushes on people, but nothing ever really happened. So middle school or junior high, whatever you want to call it, for me was a really terrible time. I think it is a really terrible time for a lot of people. From what I hear, I think it was like some of the worst times in my life. It was awful. And I got made fun of a lot for my size. I was, bigger than everyone else. There weren't a lot of fat kids. So I, shocker, I didn't get a lot of attention from anyone in a romantic way. But I did get my crushes just like anyone else would, if you're a person who gets crushes. And yeah, so in my group of friends, oh no, I'm frozen a little bit. Uh-oh. Is it frozen for you? Am I back? I'm back. Okay. So in my little group of friends, there were some couples and, then some single people. And I had this huge crush on this one person who was very cool. And so my like clique or whatever was like the weird kids or like the skater kids, just to give you an idea. And so I had a crush on this boy, and he was, yeah, I saw that it was breaking up. Hopefully it is okay now. Anyway, so I had a huge crush on this guy, and he was so cool, and he skated, and he played the guitar, and he was really into Nirvana, and like, like me. This was 1993, so, makes sense. And yeah, and like he and I were friends, and he paid me a lot of attention, but only when nobody else was around. And this is a common thread, theme, whatever, that I think a lot of people can relate to when you're fat, is people wanting to keep you a secret, people not wanting to be seen with you or to be seen with you in a romantic way um, in public. So raise your hand if that sounds familiar to you. And when I was that age, I didn't really analyze that too much. I didn't really think about it too much. I was so psyched that he was like giving me attention at all. But that was the first time I remember somebody wanting to keep me a secret. And hey y'all. Hey Kat. Hi Candy. And it sucks, man. It sucks. I only recently realized this too when I was telling my friend about past relationships. Like I, am 37 now, and I just realized that in junior high I was kept a secret. Like I guess I knew, but I didn't think about it. Anyway, so at school and at, whatever, whenever we were hanging out with the groups, like he was friendly and nice to me. But at night, he would call, we would talk on the phone all night. He would like play songs on his guitar. And we would stay on the phone all night. And it was very intimate and sweet and personal. And yeah. And it was not just like friends, like he would like tell me things, and then he would like he would date girls, and he would like tell me about them and complain. And then, like you can tell when somebody is talking to you as more than a friend. Anyway, and he would like say really sweet things to me, and he would say things like, I think you're really pretty and blah, 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 all these things that you would want someone to say to you, but only when we were alone together. So that, nothing ever happened with that other than a really intense intimacy that continued for maybe like 2 years. And that's about it. And then I didn't really see him anymore after that. So that was the first person who made me like a secret. And then in high school, I had another one. I went to 3 high schools, and the first 2, I don't think I really had any like big attractions or anything. I have little crushes, but nothing big. And the last high school that I went to, I had a huge, like a ridiculous, like kind of embarrassing. Everybody knows about it. Like, it's not like an obsession, but it is a big, intense crush. Similar situation, also on a boy. And oh my God, it's like so cringy. I have my old journals from high school where I like write in my journal about how I felt about him and what happened that day, and like my intense longing and just like sadness because he would never want to be with me. Anyway, so like really bad poetry. Yeah, so I had this crush on this person. Everybody knew about it. He knew about it. His girlfriend knew about it. But we were also really good friends, and he was, part of our friend group, and we just really connected. We really clicked, and we would hang out in groups. We would also hang out by ourselves, and like we would hang out together a lot, like during the school week, on the weekends. As much as you would spend time with like your girlfriend. And he and his girlfriend always had problems. And so I was like the fat, surrogate girlfriend, basically. And so I did all the emotional labor of a girlfriend. And this is a common theme, so not just in dating, but in many relationships, fat people end up being the emotional labor giver without really receiving that, kind of reciprocal exchange of energy. So yeah, I was definitely like surrogate girlfriend. I would do all the things with him that he, would normally have done with girlfriend, but like they didn't get along really well. Like, why are they together? We would hang out together, and we would, so when I was a teenager, I was like bad or whatever. So I smoked cigarettes and I got high and I drank alcohol. So let's just get that out of the way. So we would hang out together. We would get high together. We would drink together. We would also not do those things together. Hey, Kim. And yeah, but we spent a lot of time together. We'd hang out in his room. We'd hang out at the park, at my house, like wherever. I knew his mom. I was over there all the time. I told his mom that I was going to marry him. I think I was high when I said that to her, and she like would always bring it up and like crack up. So I was like really, really into this person. And again, we had this very intense, intimate relationship without sex. And we would talk, he would play music. Do I have a type? Yeah, and we would just like hang out and have fun. And it was like all the parts of a relationship, but without sex. It was even kind of romantic a lot of the time. And he knew what he was doing. I mean, I don't want to be a bitch about it, but like, dude, you knew what you were doing. You were getting what you could from somebody in the way that you felt you could get it, you know? It doesn't make him a bad person, but it felt really shitty for me. It was not great. And high school was a challenging time for me because that's when I started gaining more weight. And that was really difficult because there weren't a lot of fat people in my friend group. And so I was like definitely the fattest one. That's when I really started to hate myself. And so at the time that I'm really feeling down on myself, really feeling like I'm so ugly and unlovable and unfuckable and all these things, I have this person paying me a lot of attention and me really seeing the narrative as if I were thin, then he would want to actually be with me instead of just like being with me in secret. So yeah. Did his mom ever suggest that this might not be good for me? No, but I don't think she really understood like maybe the intimacy, you know? I think she thought we were just like really good friends and I had a crush and it was like fine and innocent or whatever. And it was innocent, but it's like, how much do I want to blame anyone? Also, this was a really long time ago, but it was like, you know, establishing this pattern that started in junior high with this first person. It got reinforced in high school. Like, this is what I deserve, you know? So I don't know if people like identify with that. It's like you teach yourself what you deserve, what you think you deserve, not what you actually deserve. And then that establishes this pattern that as you move into adulthood, that's what you keep gravitating towards. You know what I mean? Like, I wish that and nobody telling me this at this time could have made a difference, but I wish that I could have really felt in my heart that I deserve somebody who wanted to be romantic with me and intimate and have that kind of relationship in front of people, you know? Yeah. So, yeah, so that just reinforced the pattern. I don't think that his mom saying something to me then would have meant anything to me. You know, when you're a teenager, nobody's saying anything to you. It's going to affect. Like, you are not hearing what other people say. So yeah, so that was that. And there's, you know, like I could talk for an hour just about that one friendship or relationship or whatever that was. So then after that, after high school, I took a little bit of time off before I went to college. I was like, I don't know that I want to go to college, but like I feel like I'm expected to go. And during that time, I met what would be, I guess, my first real boyfriend. And this was somebody who did want to be seen with me in public. So that was like, you know, all right, that's something. But I think this seems so, I hate saying this. He's not going to see this. I definitely, that was the time when I really established my pattern of settling for people just because they like me. And I think this is a really common theme that I've heard from a lot of people, especially fat people, that you just like, oh, do you like me? Then I like you too. Even if you don't really like them, even if you're not attracted to them, it's like, oh my God, somebody likes me and I have been unliked for so long, or felt unlovable for so long, that if you are going to deign to be with me, then I should scramble and be grateful and just be with you. And of course, that's like a complicated thing that goes on in the back of your head. You're not like literally sitting there thinking that, but I think this is very common. So that was like my first little boyfriend. And it was not a great relationship. I was not mature enough to be in a relationship in the way that it became very serious, and we lived together. And we should not have. I was a baby. Oh my God. I was a baby. So he was very nice, and I was the bad guy. For like, I can admit that. I did not treat him well. I was not emotionally mature enough. I was not ready for that. But yeah, he was very sweet and we had fun, but ultimately, I really treated him poorly. I didn't know how to deal with my own feelings about myself and my life and about our relationship. And so instead of realizing, hey, I don't know how to like work through this stuff, I was just really mean to him. And he stuck around because he really liked me, I think. And I was just not nice. And I feel really bad about that. I mean, that's not who I am, you know. That's who I was then, because I didn't have the tools to like work on my own stuff, you know, and to navigate my emotions. So yeah, I regret the way that I treated him for sure. I know that he's doing fine now. He ended up living with me kind of by default, just because he was always there, and then he was living with me. And yeah, it was not a good situation. Oh my God. I can think of so many times it was just like bad. It was bad. Oh my God, there's a lot of comments. Okay. Hey, Emily. Let's see. Even nice people can be mean. I've had quite a few people try the secret dating thing. I also think I deserve better. Yes. What is your name? Is it Japplebite or is it J Applebite? Let's see. Natasha says, I've been in 2 relationships where my weight felt like a huge issue, and I accepted things I shouldn't have because I felt like it was what I deserved. I think that is like such a common experience, and that's why I was excited to talk about this, because I feel like I have all these feelings about my past dating life and my relationships with people, even friendships. Like, I want to talk about friendships too, where I have allowed people to treat me in a certain way because I have felt and sometimes continue to feel unworthy of better, which is super messed up, y'all. We are trained by the world to believe this about ourselves. It is deeply ingrained in us, and it's really screwed up because we all deserve love and respect, right? That's like my entire platform, is that we all deserve love and respect, regardless of what size our body is or how much we weigh or what we look like. Yes, it seems simple, but the world is not agree. Okay. Hi, Mina. You finally got your live chat. I'm glad you're here. Kim, get out of your 20-year-old head. I think it's pretty common. Sorry, when I laugh, the table shakes because my belly is touching it. All right. Well, I'm just going to call you Japplebite. You were with your ex for years before he would hold your hand in public. You were desperate for a family and partner after running away from your original one. Trying not to blame yourself for what I did. Do goodbye. Oh my God. Yeah. And we're going to talk about like poor decision making in risky situations in a minute, because listen, I have a lot to say. The things that we did to get by in the past can feel really shameful. I have a lot of shame about like poor decision making that I made when I was younger, because I wanted to feel loved and didn't know how to get that, except in like sometimes very risky ways. And and like I'm like tearing up talking about it. I've never like publicly discussed this, so like I'm going to be very vulnerable with y'all. There's a lot of shame, and it's very easy to blame yourself or to like beat yourself up about those decisions. So if you are like me and Jabblebite, even, just know that you're not alone and that you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to blame yourself or feel shame. Mina, you could never understand what guys saw in you when you were younger. Yeah. So, for sure, you know, there's like a cliche about, or a trope or whatever you want to call it, about fat people being defensive when they are kind of approached in a sexual or romantic way. And, because they're like, well, maybe it's a joke. That shit comes from somewhere. It comes from the fact that people really do that. People did that to me in junior high. People would pretend, like on a dare, they would like pretend to like me and like, you know, ask me out, or, you know, to go to a dance or like whatever, or like to like pretend to like me in some way. And then it was a joke. You wonder why fat people are so defensive sometimes, why we put up walls, why we don't believe that we deserve, because we are made to feel like we don't deserve, because people literally create little schemes to embarrass us, to put us in our place. Oh my God. Yeah. Like I didn't need any help with that. I already was putting myself in my little box. I don't need anyone piling up on that. Let's see. Any thoughts on plus size dating a thinner person? Your ex is very thin. He never did PDA and said it was because we looked weird together. Yeah, let's talk about that. Has anyone else had that experience? I haven't had that experience. I have dated people thinner than me, and I've had sex with people thinner than me, but not dated them. And I always felt weird about it. I never had any of them feel weird about it or say that they felt weird about it. But I, because of my internalized fat phobia, felt weird about it. So we can definitely talk more about that. Tara, love the red lipstick. It's actually orange. I don't know. You can't tell. But anyway, thank you. I put it on just for this. Kim, in middle school, a boy at church asked you to be his girlfriend as an April Fool's joke. And it sucked because you had a crush on him. Oh my God. I hate that. I hate that so much for you because I love you. And like, even if I didn't know you, I would hate that. Oh my God, because I know how that feels. Ugh, that's awful. Oh my God. I think like this whole video, I'm just going to be like tearing up. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh, so I had this boyfriend. That was my first like real boyfriend. And there were good parts of it. I learned a lot. He was very sweet to me. He genuinely was attracted to me. And like, here's the thing. I was really cute. I am really cute. So, and like, this is the thing is like in my head at that time, I hated myself. But I look back and I'm like, dude, I was so cute. I would date me, you know? And it's like our perception of ourselves is so warped. So of course he liked me. Of course he was attracted to me because I was cute. I was a cute girl. We were into the same things. Like it made sense. Like if you looked at us, like it didn't look weird, you know, like, you know, maybe some people think, but, sorry, I got sidetracked by looking at a comment. So yeah, there were good things that happened in that relationship. I behaved very poorly. I was definitely the bad guy, but I learned a lot, and I learned a lot about myself. And I learned a lot about being in a relationship. You know, here's the thing is like a lot of people have their first little boyfriends and girlfriends in high school. I didn't have that opportunity to like screw up at that young of an age, where people just kind of like, maybe they like don't jump into living together so soon. And so by the time that I was having that experience, we were of an age where he could just move in with me because I had already moved out of the house, you know? So then after that, I went to college and had a number of experiences. I didn't have another like serious relationship for a long time. I just had like, you know, little experiences, like either little sexual experiences or little like romantic experiences, little crushes, little, a little bit of dating, but nothing really serious. And this was, and that sounds fine, except that it was not a great time. I was not feeling confident and strong, and yeah, it was not great. During that time, it's kind of weird because I had really good friends, and a lot of great things happened. But on the romantic side of things, I was very secretive. So that's interesting. I was secretive because I had a lot of shame. And I didn't talk to my friends about dating and stuff. Like, they dated people and they would talk about it. And I would like kind of mention things, but I wouldn't go into detail, or I would leave out parts of it, like very important parts of my story. So I might say that like I went out with this person and we had fun and we hooked up and I probably won't see them again. Right? That's what I would tell my friends. And they would be like, oh my God. Like, and then they, like you talk about sex, you say what happened or, whatever. And the parts that I would leave out is that I met this person on Craigslist and I didn't tell anyone where I was going when I went to meet them. Like, that's unsafe. That's not smart. And so that wasn't every experience, but that was like my kind of beginning of making these poor decisions that were unsafe for me, or inviting people over to our house that I, by this point, was living with roommates, inviting people over who I didn't know, and I didn't know the character of this person, and I was inviting them into our shared home, which now, as an adult, like a real adult, I'm like, oh my God, I would be so pissed if somebody did that, in a house that I lived in with a roommate or something. I would be so mad because you don't know who you're bringing into your home. Okay, hold on. There's a bunch of comments. Emily Ruth Royal. I had something similar happen, just like Kim, at a sleepover. It hurt and it was really embarrassing. You thought that kind of thing only happened in movies. No, it happens in life. It's terrible. Natasha has lost a lot of weight in the last year, but even though you're the thinnest you've been in years, you're dating someone and you feel insecure, and comments always stick with you. Yeah, if you've been fat, even if you're not fat anymore, you still are, you still have like the fat person mind. When I have lost weight in my life and dated and whatever, and I look very different, but in my head, I'm still that same person. And I'm still insecure in those same ways because I haven't lived my life in that smaller body. I haven't been taught to live as that smaller person. I've been taught how to live and interact with the world as a fat person. And I think it takes a really long time. I mean, I don't know personally because I've never lost a bunch of weight and stayed that way, because dieting doesn't work. Bodies don't work like that for the most part. But I hear from people who have lost a bunch of weight and maintained that loss over a longer period of time that they still feel that way. And, that's like over years. I think it's really hard to break away from that mentality because it's drilled into you, for a very long time. Let's see. Cat, wow, that is very risky. Yeah, I don't need, I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't need to be told that it was risky. I'm clearly saying that it was. Like, I know how dangerous and risky that is. And this is what I was talking about when I said I have a lot of shame. So I'm not saying that this is what you're doing, but just for anyone else who wants to comment, like, for the rest of this, like, if you could not, like, further shame me for making these decisions in my past, like, that would be great. I already feel bad about it. Let's see. I've turned down men before and they always would get angry. How dare a fat person? Yeah, so that's really common. I've also experienced that. It's like, I think their mentality is like, well, I deigned to be interested in you, so how dare you turn me down? How dare you not be grateful? Yeah. Emily, you made those same sort of risky decisions growing up too. The internet made it easy. You didn't know where else to find the love that you were craving. Yeah, and that's what it was for me, is that I just wanted attention. I wanted attention. I wanted to feel desired. I wanted to feel loved. And it wasn't happening in my life like it was happening for my friends who were smaller than me. And I needed it to come from somewhere. And that's when, like, you know, the internet was hopping. But like online dating was not the thing that it is now. In the early 2000s, if you were online dating, it was like embarrassing. It's not, now it's like totally normal. Back then, everyone was like, oh, you're going to get murdered. And like even using like regular websites like match.com, people are like, oh, you're going to get murdered for sure because it's the internet. So I didn't feel like I could tell anyone that that's what I was doing. But I had my little accounts, you know, on the dating websites, and I looked at Craigslist, and like people had personal ads there. Just like you know, people used to do that through the newspaper. And so, yeah, I used the tools that I had to try to get what I needed. Yeah, and it was not the safest way to do that, but a lot of people did it and we weren't talking about it. I wish that people talked about it more and didn't have so much shame and embarrassment around it, because then we could have been safer, you know? Let's see. Did my parents or other adults in my life talk about being aware or safe while dating or hooking up? Do you feel like this is something we have to learn? Oh, my parents are amazing, but they never had a sex talk with me. They never did that. I think it was like no one ever did it with them kind of thing, and so they didn't do it with us. Yeah, I don't know. I know that like on TV, all the kids get sex talks, but I never got a sex talk. And I would talk to my friends and be like, yeah, my parents have never talked to me about that. So, yeah, let's see. Kat. No, Kat, I know that you weren't trying to do that, but that, like, that's how that feels to me when I see that response. Cause like, I'm already sensitive about it. So I'm not like mad at you or anything. I'm just like, let me throw this out there in case anyone else wants to comment. Like, yes, we have all made bad decisions in lots of different ways. Natasha, we are conditioned to become insecure. Even though the sky is lovely, you still have all the issues you've always had, being bigger. You won't remove your t-shirt during sex. Yeah, so I think that's really common. And we can talk more about like fat sex. That might have to be a whole other video. Let's see. There's a lot of comments, which is great. I'm overwhelmed. Midnight 56. You have lost weight from an illness and people complimented you even though you were sick. Yeah, because people are conditioned to view any weight loss as positive, no matter how it happens, which is super screwed up. And people would ask you if you would date smaller people because you were thinner now. That's so weird. That's so weird. You look gorgeous. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that that happens to you or has happened to you. I'm sorry that it does because that feels terrible. When I was, so in 2004, I moved to Baltimore, Maryland from Texas. And I lived there for about 4 years. And while I was there, it was not a great time in my life. Towards the end of that, it was not a great time in my life. I was really depressed and suicidal. And I had a series of bad relationships while I was there that had really taken a toll on my self-esteem, my self-confidence. And so I was, what is the word? Is it orthorexia, where it's like obsessive exercising? I started running. And at first I liked it, but then it became this thing where, oh, I'm losing weight. And then I was like doing it more and more and more. And I was really restricting my eating. So I lost a good amount of weight pretty quickly. And I was sick and really unhappy with life. And I didn't want to be alive anymore. But all I heard was, you look amazing. Oh my God, like keep it up. You know, all these things, all this positive affirmation of this sickness that was happening inside of me. Like, that's why, to me, complimenting weight loss is never appropriate with the caveat of if the person wants it. If they're like, I'm so happy, I just lost weight and it is making me very happy. Like, I still personally wouldn't compliment the weight loss. I would say, I'm glad that you're happy. But I, have a different perspective than a lot of people. I just don't think it's ever necessary or appropriate or good to just be like, you look great. Have you lost weight? Or I noticed that you're smaller. I noticed that you lost weight. Congratulations. Keep it up. Amazing. Whatever. Like, there's just no need. You have no idea why somebody has lost the weight. If they wanted to lose the weight, why it happened, like what's going on in their head. And I hear so many times from people, like so many times, oh yeah, I keep getting congratulated, but I have this like really big illness, or I was just diagnosed with, a chronic illness, or, oh yeah, I'm depressed, so I haven't been eating or, feeding myself at all. Or, like my eating disorder is in full whatever, it's kicking. And so that's why I've lost weight. Or, excuse me, oh my God, I'm burping. Or whatever, there's all these reasons. And our culture is so like focused on becoming smaller is so good, right? It's like automatically a good thing, but it's not automatically a good thing. There's a lot of reasons why people lose weight that are not good reasons. They're not good things. Sorry, I'm like on a soapbox about this, but I can't stand that. It happens to me all the time, and so like I put myself out here on the internet, on YouTube and on Instagram. And on Instagram, I have a lot more followers than I do here on YouTube. On Instagram, I have like, I don't know, almost 15,000 followers. On here, I have like under 4,000. But like if you combine everything together, like it's a lot of people who see my content, which I like, and I, intentionally do this. I want people to see my content, but it's hard because everyone views me through their own personal lens, and somebody might decide that I look smaller in this video, and so they're going to comment, oh, you look like you've lost weight, you look smaller, or like, you've definitely lost weight, you look amazing, like whatever. And it's like, first of all, I haven't lost any weight, and like also now I'm like thinking about how you're seeing me and my weight, like all these things, and it's really difficult. It's really difficult. But I also like, I don't want to respond back to everyone just like, like how I'm doing now. And so I don't, I'm not going to like call people out every time that happens, because they're thinking, I like the way she looks today. She looks great, or she looks happy. And I want to tell her that I see that and that I'm happy for her. But what comes out is, you look like you've lost weight. You look so happy, or, let's see. Oh, I'm behind. Kat, you have 2 young girls, and thinking about these things scares you for them. Oh my God, you should be scared for them. It is hard. It's hard. And I don't know like what they look like. I think that everyone, no matter what you look like, there are specific challenges. I think that if you are fitting in with the beauty standards, you have your own set of challenges about navigating dating and love and sex. If you are outside of the beauty standards, you have a different host of challenges to deal with. Kim, when you were 20, you were dating a guy and asked you to marry him, said yes. A few months later, broke up with you and said he'd asked because he felt sorry for you. Oh my God. I think that you are like me, and you're like a magnet for these experiences. Dating women has different problems, but there's still a lot of fatphobia. So yeah, so what I haven't talked about yet is my experiences with women. So over my lifetime, I've dated both men and women, and honestly have liked women more. I've ended up married to a man, which was a surprise to me and also to my friends. But yeah, there are definitely specific challenges when you deal with LGBTQ spaces. There's a lot of fatphobia. There's a lot of so I call myself queer. In the past, I've used the term bisexual, but I don't like that because it implies there are only 2 genders. And I know that the word pansexual is supposed to like, be for all of that. I just don't like the way pansexual sounds. And to me, queer is better. So I just call myself queer, which a lot of people have chosen to do. So there's a lot of issues for queer folks, and especially like bisexual people, because you're once again made to feel less than. You're not fully gay, right? So you don't deserve to be in this space, which I also deal with because I'm half Japanese. So I'm like not fully Asian, which is hard for me personally. That's been a whole struggle. It's being made to feel like I'm less than, but too much in many different kinds of ways, you know? So yeah, I totally hear you about biphobia and also about racism in different ways. I mean, luckily, I have privilege in that I am white passing, or that I'm Asian, which is a more like palatable way to be a person of color. Like, so I definitely experience much less racism than somebody who is Latina or Black or has darker skin and is Asian. Like especially like South Asian women who have darker skin, like they deal with more stuff. Ooh, there's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, and feeling like trying to date girls in lesbian spaces, which there are not a lot of lesbian spaces. But even within those spaces, there's like issues. There's like a hierarchy, and you know, I was always on the bottom. Okay. Emily was given a book to read for your sex talk. Oh my God. Here's a book. The result has been insecurity and shame surrounding your sexuality. Oh my God. Natasha, have you ever had any experience with people who prefer to date fat people? My bigger friend said that really boosted. So yeah, I wanted to talk about it. There's so many things I want to talk about. We're already like 41 minutes into this and we haven't even gotten very far because it's such a topic. I think this is going to be a two-parter. I have not personally dated people who were like FAs or fat admirers, or whatever you want to call them, people that were specifically into larger people. I think that I have had sex with some, but no one who like was super overtly aggressive about like your fat body. I get more attention like that now that I'm on the internet. For example, last night, so I was on the couch with Richard. We were watching TV, and I was looking at Instagram. Like, this is what happens. I think this is like everyone's life now, is we look at social media while we like watch television. But I was looking at my DMs, and I had just deleted a comment on a really old piece of art that I had posted. That was not my art; it was somebody else's. And the art was a series of sculptures that this woman had made of fat bellies and their cute belly buttons and all the different ways that fat belly buttons look, because there's a lot of ways and you kind of only see like one certain, like in the media or on like the popular, you know, body positive Instagram accounts or whatever, you see like the fat people, but their belly is really smooth. So they still have like that perfect belly button. My belly button doesn't look like that. I have a bee belly. That's not what's happening here. And so I was very excited when I posted that graphic or that piece of art, like literal years ago. This guy went far back because there were belly buttons that looked like mine. And I was like, yay. Anyway, so I had just deleted his like gross feeling comment on that photo, which happens constantly. And then I was checking my DMs because I had a bunch come in and I was like trying to clear them out. And I saw a message from him and it was like, when are you gonna, or could you, or something like that, whatever. I want to see that, whoa, God, what did he say? That deep, beautiful belly button or something like that. But it was like deep. It was especially into that it was a deep belly button. Oh my God. So yeah, I get a lot of messages like that, or like dick pics or requests to like see certain things. I'm like, y'all are on the wrong account. There's a lot of Instagram accounts that would be like super into that. This is not one. So move on. Let's see. Kat, you never compliment weight loss. You went through a similar thing when you were sick and depressed and would cringe whenever you were compliment. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. Okay. I'm very excited because the new way to do live here on YouTube, it shows me the comments that they like sometimes hold comments that they think might be like spam or bullying or offensive. And the old way, I wouldn't see that. And so I couldn't see it in real time. I would only see those comments afterward. And now I can see them in real time and like say, show it or hide it. So that's cool. So Midnight, they had hid your comment. It says, I appreciate your commentary. I also wondered how you navigated dating as a spoonie, because we have that, oh, I'm lucky anyone wants to be with me. So yes. And if I were to suddenly find myself not married now and had to go back into the dating world, I would be super worried about that. Kind of luckily for me, my like chronic illness issues didn't happen until after I was married. Or like I always had like some like gastrointestinal situations, but it wasn't that bad. And it didn't impact my life the way that it definitely impacts my life now. So I think it sucks. It's like one more thing. I haven't had to deal with that, and so I'm very lucky in that way. But I imagine that it would feel like an extra layer of like difficulty hanging over your head all the time, and really, yeah, and like kind of make you get back into that headspace of I'm just lucky that anyone wants to, you know, be with me or to deal with the issues. Let's see, Mina, complimenting people on their weight loss only puts on more stress mentally, questioning what was wrong with you before. Losing weight hasn't changed my personality, only my body size. Natasha, does your husband mind when you get those kind of messages? No, because I tell him about them and we just laugh. So I don't tell him about all of them. I like to tell him about like the most ridiculous or gross or offensive ones. Because I personally need to just like find humor in it and delete and block and shake it off. And so I like sharing it with somebody else because then we can kind of like laugh together. But he is really supportive and is like sometimes like, oh my, you know, like, you okay? Like whatever. But yeah, a lot of mine are just like kind of ridiculous. Like, show me that deep, beautiful belly button. Oh my God. Or like I get like weird racist ones that are like super fetishizing and like they want to see like that they'll like reference like that Asian whatever. I don't know. There's like people are weird. Let's see. Kim. Oh, you get sketchy DMs. Okay. Okay, so I don't remember where we were in the timeline, but college, making poor decisions, and that continued for a while. And I was at the same time that I was doing those things and feeling, you know, like I just wanted attention and love from somewhere. I was also trying to access queer spaces, and like, so this goes back to what we were talking about before in the comments, and like really getting pushed out and not feeling like I was welcome there or like I was part of the community. And it was really hurtful to me because I'm like, why am I not allowed to be in these spaces? Like, I thought that's what these spaces were for. And then really feeling like I unwanted, like, we don't want you here. And they didn't want me there. And so after a while, I just stopped trying to access queer spaces because had been made clear to me that I wasn't wanted. And so then, you know, my only recourse was either continuing to find people online that never ended up to be actual dating. It was always just like hooking up. Even if it was like supposed to be a date, it always just ended up in a certain way. And I would sleep with people that I wasn't attracted to just because they wanted to sleep with me. And I was like, okay, like if you want this, then I want it, you know, just like grateful for some kind of attention. And then, and while this was all happening, it was basically teaching me nothing about how to be in an actual relationship. So like, I'm a real late bloomer when it comes to being like a good partner to someone because I never learned. I wasn't able to learn how to do that. Luckily, my parents are still together. They've been married almost 50 years soon, which is amazing. And they have really modeled for me how to be a good partner and how to work really hard to stay in a relationship and how to work really hard to continue to be good partners for each other. Like, I saw them struggle. I saw them go to therapy. I saw them learn new tools. I saw them implement that. They have been really good role models for me. And I see marriage is not easy. I've seen it. And I have seen two people want to stay together and work really hard and, maintain a relationship that is still good for both of them. They're both getting what they need out of it and loving each other. And it's really inspirational. I'm like tearing up. It's very inspirational to me. Okay, comments. Natasha, you met up with a friend after you lost weight and she said, I always knew you were pretty. What? Oh my God. Can you really call that person a friend if they literally said that to you? I don't know. I don't know that is an actual friend. Jeff, I'm sorry I laugh at your name every time. It just sounds so funny to me. You know what? Because it reminds me, I don't know if y'all, this is super off topic. There's a meme floating around the internet that my husband and I laugh at so hard. And it's so dumb. It's some like graphic artist or whatever took restaurant logos and like changed them into like nonsensical words. So like Applebee's is called Apple Bapple. And Subway is Sabubby. And then they did their taglines also. And then it's like Sabubby, Ifreef. And it's so funny to me. I'm sure it's like not funny to you, but it is hilarious to me. And so Apple Bapple has become a thing that we say now because it's like so stupid and we just love it. Apple Bapple. It's like Apple Bapple. Okay. Sorry. So you're non-binary, bye. Yeah. Oh God. I'm sorry. Like that has got to be a struggle to deal with queer spaces. Yeah. Identify the way I want, but be aware it erases trans bias. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. Kat says, I went through a phase of hooking up with people because they wanted to be with me. Yeah, I think that's really common. Natasha, that's amazing about your parents. It's a beautiful story. Yeah. Kim says, no, ma'am, not your friend. If you see them again, make eye contact and turn away. Kim is very assertive, which I really admire and I need more of in my life. Emily, Burger King, our booger fling. God. Why is this stuff so funny to me? Yeah, so I moved to Baltimore. I dated some people. I had like relationship. I had like one like real relationship and I had a couple of like dating kind of things, but I also like still hadn't really learned how to demand respect or demand to be treated the way that I deserve. So this was in my mid-20s that I was living in Baltimore. I had a really good job. I had like kind of a weirdly great job and I had money. I had a good apartment. I was like, my life was going really well. But again, on the dating and romantic side, it was not great at all. And I had friends who, I had another friend who I was in love with. And we had a really good relationship. And I don't think that it was the same in that he was kind of using me for the intimacy and the kind of romantic relationship, but then like not being seen with me. I think that I just really liked him and we had a really good friendship that was very close and felt good. And then he actually ended up getting together with a friend of ours. And I was really upset at the time. Like, it's fine now. It's been a long time. And we were not suited. The thing is, like, with perspective now, in hindsight, like, we were not suited to be together. And they are great together. So, good. But at the time, it just further fueled how much I hated myself. I hated myself. And so I continued to make, poor decisions. And one of my poor decisions actually ended up being a really great thing, and I will tell you about this. Y'all, I've never talked about this publicly before, so this is very scary for me. So one of my like found you online, like let's just have sex or whatever people actually ended up being somebody that I who became a really safe person for me, and we had like a very casual sexual relationship for a couple years, and yeah, it's so weird to think about. He was older than me. But I was like actually very attracted to him, which was like kind of a first for me because like it didn't really matter before because I didn't feel like I deserved to be only with people that I was actually attracted to, which sounds so stupid when I say it out loud, but that is the reality. But anyway, so it was supposed to be like a one-time whatever, but it ended up being, a couple years of having a person who was so like sweet with me and like really supportive and caring. And like when I say supportive, just like of everything, because I would, like just go hang out with him. And we didn't have to have sex, but we would just hang out. And he would like listen to me. Like it was very nice. And we weren't like, dating, whatever. But he was just really sweet. And if we were not, in his house or whatever, he was still sweet with me, and it was nice. And that was like one of the first times that I experienced that. It wasn't the first time, obviously, but it was one of the first times where I had somebody who really liked my body and it didn't feel fetishizing. It didn't feel gross. It felt nice. Anyway, it was good. I'm grateful for that experience. And I knew what it was. It wasn't going to turn into anything serious. And I don't think that I wanted it to, but it was just really good to have this person. And I would I would date somebody like more datey, and I would stop, like seeing him as much. And then we'd break up, and then I'd come back, whatever. And he was just always there and like happy to see me and like hear about, promotions at work, and like it was just great. And it was so different, I guess, is why I'm harping on it so much. Like it was just such a different kind of experience to like actually feel respect from someone and have it not just be like, I like your big fat body and I want to put my penis in it or whatever. So that was great. That was like a really nice thing that happened, that came from something that was nothing. It was just going to be a hookup. And then the biggest relationship that I had in Baltimore was actually with somebody who lived in DC, but they're very close. And it was not great, just because like I don't think that he was emotionally in a place to like really be in a relationship, and we kept trying to make it like a capital R relationship. But he was very sweet, and I was the fattest person that he had ever dated. But we would go out and he would hug me and hold my hand and be sweet with me and do, the things that you would want somebody to do if you like PDA or like, whatever, touching in public. I know that some people aren't into like holding hands or, getting hugs in public or little kisses, but I love it because I had never had that. I was like, yes, this is amazing. Anyway, and it's funny because, okay, so this is really funny. So he was a Black man, and he was a Republican. Oh my God, which is like really embarrassing to me because I am very not a Republican. And my parents were coming to town to visit me, and I mentioned it, and he's like, oh, do you want me to meet your parents? And I was like, probably not. Like, that's okay. I know you're really busy. And he's like, do you not want me to meet your parents? And I was like, well, it's not that I don't want you to meet my parents. It's just that I don't think it's necessary. And he was like, what? Like, I was trying not to say, like, why? And he was like, are your parents racist? Is it because I'm Black? And I was like, no, it's because you're a Republican. Oh my God, which I think is so funny. Oh my God. And he was like, I'm not that Republican. I was like, you're still a Republican. Which is fine. And I'm sure people in here are Republicans, but like, anyway, you understand what I'm saying. I'm super, super left, y'all. Okay. Comments. Kat, thank you for being vulnerable. You're welcome. Thank y'all for being here. Hi, Leah. I wish that you got notifications like you asked for also. That's very sweet. Check on your friends. Y'all, like, nobody ever texts me to check in, and somebody just did, and that's very nice. I appreciate it. Because I shared about my cat being missing on Instagram last night. I finally was, like, being more public about it. Y'all, when I'm really upset, like, I just disappear. I'm, like, hermiting in my house. I don't tell people stuff. Oh, my God. Let's see. Kat, when you start dating your husband, it felt different right away and you felt safe and truly loved for the first time. It's crazy when you get something like you level up and you go, oh, it could feel like this. Like, that's amazing. It's like when you get new shoes, like new sneakers, and you put them on, you're like, oh my God, my old ones are so worn down. Like, you'd realize now. Oh, Sandy, you're attracted to slim, muscular men. Nothing wrong with bigger men. It's just like that. Your husband is attracted to large women. Been married 34 years. Love him more every year. Great. I'm glad that you found somebody that you work so well with. That's awesome. Leah, never had the fat fetish dating experience. If people come on strong at all in that way, it makes you uncomfortable. You run for the hills. Same. Yes. I don't want to be fetishized in a relationship. Like, that doesn't feel good to me. And I understand that for some people that feels fine or it feels great. That's awesome. We all have different needs and desires when it comes to relationships. I'm not throwing shade at anyone. I completely understand, like, why people like that. I just don't personally like it. I'm not trying to, like, throw shade at anyone. Kim just snort laughed. Kat, Sandy, I never dated chubbier men. They rejected you more than thinner men. Yeah. I have experienced that also, in that fat guys, in my experience, obviously I can only speak from my experience, fat guys in my experience have never been interested in me because fat men still experience fatphobia. They're still discriminated against. But if you look at, like, the media, a very common trope that you see is, like, the fat guy with the, like, skinny hot wife. And so men are kind of allowed to be fat and still feel like they deserve this, like, deserve this, like, beautiful, whatever, beauty standard fitting person. Whereas women are taught that if you're fat, you better be grateful for whatever you get. And that you can't expect to be with somebody who's, like, out of your league or, not on your level, whatever. And so that's what I've experienced. And I'm not saying that that's true for every fat man. Obviously, nothing is true for every type of person. In my experience, that is what I felt. Natasha, you do feel comfortable with the guy you're dating now. He's very kind and gentle and allows you to take your time with everything. I don't think we will all get the fairy tale love at first sight. Yeah. I don't think that happens for everybody. So, okay. When I moved back to Houston, it's because I was ready for a change. I had just had this pivotal moment where I, as I mentioned, and, like, I'm sorry, I should have said trigger warning for people before I talked about, like, suicide ideation. I'm very sorry. I'm going to talk about it again now, like, not in super detail, but just so you know, if you want to click off of here. Towards the end of my time in Baltimore, I was very unhappy. I was engaging in over-exercise. I was super restricting my eating. I was very unhappy with my body. And even though all these things were going great for me at work and I had great friends, I was very depressed, very unhappy. I did not want to live anymore. And I had, like, a big moment one night where I, like, called a suicide hotline, but I was, like, I'm a freezer, like, fight, flight, or freeze. Like, I froze and I didn't know what to say. And the person was like, you have to call. I can't stay on the line with you if you're not going to talk. You have to call back, and, call back if you're going to talk. And, like, I remember feeling like, oh my God, like, I can't even, like, call the suicide hotline correctly. What is wrong with me? Anyway, so that night I, like, didn't sleep very much. And I just, like, I had, like, a moment with myself where I was like, listen, you are either going to not be alive anymore in some way, or you have got to, like, change. You cannot exist like this any longer because this is awful. And I don't like remember an exact moment of like, feeling different or whatever, but like after that, I started making changes in my life, and I knew that I needed to just like have a fresh start somewhere, like just change up what I was doing, change who I was around, what I was doing, where I was living, what I was eating, my whole way of life. Like I was like, here's my experiment. I'm just going to do things differently. And so around that time I had to travel for work, and I came back to Houston for that. And while I was here, I met this person, and we had like a little fling or whatever, but it felt like more than that. It felt like deeper, and when I went back to Baltimore, we were talking a lot, and like it continued. And I was telling them how I wanted to make a change. I had been looking into intentional living situations. I was going to go live like on a commune, basically. That was what I was going to do if I didn't end up doing what I actually did. And just like talking to this person, it felt so good. At that point, it felt like the best kind of relation, like it had blossomed into a relationship, and it felt like the best version of that I had ever experienced. It was like putting on the sneakers. I was like, oh my God, it really uplifted me. I felt, which, now in my life, I realize that I don't think that uplift in my life should come from the relationship. I think that that's dangerous when you put all of that on a person. But at the time, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just happy to not be like wanting to die anymore. So I just wanted to make a move. And so I ended up moving back to Houston, and I lived with them, which, number one, like I hardly know this person, and I moved in with them. And at first it was going to be temporary till I found a place, but I couldn't find a good job, like at the level of job that I had had. And it was really frustrating. So I just ended up staying with them longer. And then I was just living with them. Like it just kind of happened, which is part of the problem. But the biggest problem is that that person was not a good person. And that relationship ended 10 years ago. And it has taken me until the past few years to realize that I was in an abusive relationship. I didn't realize it at the time. And it's so like ironic because I'm a person who used to volunteer like at the women's shelter and has heard from the source from various women of like being in these situations. And I always think, oh, if that ever happened to me, I would be out of there in a second. But I wasn't. And I was devastated when the relationship ended. Instead of being like, I should have been relieved that I was out of the situation. Anyway, I'm not going to get super into that, but it was not a great relationship. He was emotionally abusive and sexually abusive with me. And yeah, it was not great. However, it brought me back to Houston, and this is where I met my husband. So that's good. And I'm laughing like whatever because I'm keeping it light and not delving into that. But it was a really screwed up situation. And once I was here and like allowed myself to not engage in the overexercise and the super restrictive eating, I started gaining weight, and that was a problem for this person. And that, I mean, it was just the beginning of the end. It was not good. And so during that time, I gained weight. And they had thought I was going to continue losing weight, and I ended up gaining weight, and it was not great. So once again, my body was the problem. And so I really blamed my body for that. It was not good at all. And when we broke up and I moved out, I tried really hard to like make better decisions. And I didn't always make better decisions, but for the most part I did. And after we broke up, living on my own, like trying to have hobbies that I liked, and I had a good job at that point, and like things were kind of going much better for me. And then that's when I met my husband on OkCupid. I was actually going to stop using the website because I'd gone on all these really terrible dates. Oh my God. And I was like over it. And the last person I messaged was him. And then, yeah, it ended up working out. It was really great. And now I know like actually what a good relationship feels like. So like I have, I wouldn't call it a happy ending because, I'm not even 40 yet. Like who knows what the rest of my life will bring, but like I'm definitely having like a happy time now. Like stuff is good. Things are good. My life is great. My romantic life is amazing. And I am really grateful for that. And I think it's like my reward for like dealing with so much garbage. Okay. There's a lot of comments. I'm going to go back. Kat, you've been with your husband for 28 years and you had a couple rough patches, but went to counseling and still have a great relationship. Shauna, that's called a trophy wife. Thank you for being brave enough to talk about this. It's a huge encouragement. Good. I'm glad that it's encouraging for you. I mean, I had like a pretty low bar and have really luckily ended up with somebody amazing. And I know that that doesn't happen for everyone, or that it takes longer for some people. But, you know, before I met him, I was dating a lot. I was mostly dating women. And then I met him, and it was just kind of this surprise that came out of nowhere. I didn't expect it. I wasn't looking for, you know, a capital R relationship. I was just looking to date, honestly. And then there it was. So, I don't know. I have felt so discouraged in my life about ever finding somebody who would love and respect me and like truly like desire me the way that I am. I think that it's heartening to know that it can happen, because you can just start to feel so discouraged, like it's never going to happen. But it can. It can happen. Leah, you had a boy who bullied you in high school show up on MySpace 10 years later, asking you to Netflix and chill. Oh my God. You tried to fix him up with someone else. Oh my God. MySpace wasn't around. MySpace is still around, isn't it? Rebecca, you were unwanted at birth. Your mom told you you would have to have an abortion, but they were illegal. She would have had one. Why would your mom tell you that? Oh my God. Oh. Yeah, so Rebecca, I understand having trouble accepting compliments and thinking people care. I also have a history of sexual abuse as a child. And it affects your entire life for the rest of your life. I'm sorry that that happened to you. I'm sorry that happened to me. I'm sorry that it is still affecting you now. I hate that so much. Yeah, there you go. It made you the person that you are. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing is like all of the stuff that has happened to me, all the decisions that I made, everything that has happened has made me the person that I am, you know, and like, I really like the person that I am now. It's taken me a long time to get there, get to like me. But I think that I've learned so much just having to deal with the stuff that I've dealt with. Like, I feel like I'm so much stronger than some people. And I feel like I've learned so much. I have so much perspective that other people don't have. I think that when you go through life and you don't have these like super messed up things happen to you, you don't have, you know, such a hard time finding love, when you don't have the challenges to overcome, you don't have the perspective, you don't have the wisdom, you don't have the character that other people do. Like, honestly, you know what I mean? Let's see. Rebecca, you're in a good place now and getting better. You know that you're a good person. Good. Mina has a similar situation. Yeah. Emily, I think it's harder to realize you're in a situation or relationship like that when you're on the inside. Yes, for sure. For sure. Natasha, you went through a breakup of a long-term relationship. You thought your life was over, but now you're out of it and you can reflect, and it made you see that you deserve way better. Yes, you do deserve way better. I don't know what it was, but you deserve better. Yeah, and now you can see it. That's great. Love. Got to get back to work. I know this has become really long. I'm going to end it soon, y'all. Leah, I think an important issue for fat women is this idea we should simply deal with being treated poorly because society says no one wants you. Take what you get. Yes, I think that's a big theme. So I'm going to end this here. I think that we should have a part 2 with this because this kind of ended up just being like my story of like, you know, my dating history. But I really want to dig into some of the topics that we brought up. Oh my God, sorry, I'm burping again. So yeah, so we'll do a part 2. This is part 1. I want to talk about friendships. I want to talk about sex as a fat person. So yeah, comment if, yes, Kat, look, we need a second chat about sex. I know. Great minds think alike. So comment below. So if you're here now, comment now. If you're watching this at a different time, like later after this is posted, you can still comment because it'll probably be a week or so before we have part 2. Whatever you want to talk about in part 2, comment below because that will help me. I'll make notes and then stay on track a little better. Today I was kind of like, whatever. So yeah. Pillows, pillows, pillows. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. This was really good. It was really scary for me to talk about this stuff. But I think it's good. This is what I'm trying to do more of, stuff that's scary, stuff that is helpful. I hope that this was helpful for you, even if just to hear someone else talk about things that you have experienced or thought and feel like validated to know that you're not the only one, you're not alone. I hope that it was helpful for that. I'm going to go. It's been a long time. But yeah, have a great day. And come follow me on Instagram if you don't already. Please subscribe to this channel, this YouTube channel, if you're not already subscribed. I'm trying to get more subscribers. I'm trying to grow this channel. And yeah, because the bigger we get, the bigger our community gets, like the better things are, the more perspectives and people we have here. So please subscribe. And friendships and family and relationships. Oh my God, yes. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.